Hey, what's going on, everybody? So if you're watching this video, I definitely appreciate you, and I know that you're a diehard fan because this is a very disappointing loss, and I feel like many of you are taking this one hard and very frustrated with the results that you're seeing. So if you're watching this video, I know that you truly care and you're really trying to get to the bottom of what the heck is going on with the Miami Hurricanes right now. So 3 games into it, it's not looking good for a team that was expected to at least compete for the Coastal Division. Honestly, they've got a lot of work to do if they're going to be able to do that, because these 3 games, I think that they've shown that there's a lot of holes, and the teams that they play are having success in exploiting these holes. And I don't know where they go from here, because I do think after this 3rd game, after this 2nd loss of the year, 38-17 to Michigan State, I'm starting to wonder. I believe that there's legitimate question marks if this team can turn it around, number one. And number two, what does it look like under Manny Diaz moving forward? Look, at this point, in his 3rd season, you want to see better results. You want to see better outcomes. You want to see progress. You don't want to see the team getting blown out. They've lost 4 of their last 5 games dating back to last season, 3 of them by at least 21 points. And today it went both ways. Offense not scoring enough points, turning the ball over way too much, not getting the results that they need, struggling in the red zone. Very similar to all of the things that we've talked about in the past. Offensive line struggled once again. There's certain guys not playing well enough, not producing well enough, not making enough big plays. And certainly the coaching. That's the thing about coaching. The number one thing with coaching is you've got to get the most out of your players, put them in schemes and plays, and call the right plays, and have the right system for your players on both sides of the ball. And I think the coaches certainly deserve blame. I believe it starts with the head coach, Manny Diaz. And my question to him in the post-game press conference was, what is his message to fans at this point? Because the results are piling up. These disappointing performances are piling up. And yes, afterwards, he was saying, yes, this is disappointing. And he listed the reasons why. But I think many of you are getting tired of hearing the reasons why things are not going well and want to know what's going to turn it around. Why do these results keep happening? Why are the losses happening? Why are games getting out of hand, especially here at home? And I think many of us that watched Michigan State in their first 2 games felt like Michigan State was good enough to beat Miami today. However, I expected Miami to come out, play better than they have the first 2 games. I felt like offensively they had room to improve from the first 2 games. And there were some signs today. But again, De'Aaron King, for example, goes for 350, but the 4 turnovers is what stood out. Charleston Rambo had a good day. But again, the team wasn't scoring enough, wasn't getting anything going in the run game. I really don't understand why the running back with Cameron Harris didn't get many opportunities. I would have thought that they would have tried to establish the run a little bit more, and also not just establish it, but they've got to figure out what's going on, why they're not having success. Because again, if you're not having success, I think he was 11 carries, 44 yards, then they're going to turn to different ways and kind of attack the passing game. That's what we saw today. But ultimately, this is a team that has to run the ball. I've asked Rhett Lashley about their inability to run the ball, and in the past, he always deflects it. He always says, you can't look at numbers. It's based on certain situations. And I tried to ask if it has to do with yards per carry, like what's their goal in the run game. And I think you can keep kind of moving the goalpost in a way, but they're not getting the results, and that's the bottom line. And it's showing right now, unfortunately, in the win-loss column. Because regardless of stats, it all comes down to wins and losses, and that's why many of you are so frustrated. Look, there's things that need to be corrected, and I also asked Manny Diaz of not just what needs to happen or what the message to the fans would be at this point, but what's going to turn things around. Why will this thing get turned around? He dropped 15-12 in his 3 years at Miami, and the losses are piling up. This is a veteran team that should not be having similar mistakes, similar disappointing performances. And I think also too, what kind of stood out to me in the post-game press conferences, when the players talked, a lot of them mentioned that they actually had a really good week of practices. Now, we're only able to be out there 1 day a week for 20 minutes, and you guys have seen some of the videos I've done on those. I try to include as many drills and different position groups as available. I try not to cut things out. I just try to give you guys as much as possible, and certainly not there all the time. But the fact that they're feeling like they're having really good practices, and then they're coming out in games and not playing well is really telling, because I think that could be a sign of, look, is this the best that this team has to offer? If so, this team is going to struggle to be bowl eligible. There's better teams, or there's solid teams, or there's good teams like in Michigan State or in Appalachian State on their schedule coming up. Virginia is looking like a tough team. They open up ACC play against the Cavaliers. That'll be tough. It's here at Hard Rock. And then obviously playing at North Carolina in that second ACC game. So Miami's got some things to work out. They've got to make changes. I feel like anytime things start to dip like this with the coach, the biggest thing is what differences are going to be made to get better results. I feel like at times coaches at UM or Manny Diaz can be grouped with that. There doesn't seem to be drastic changes to really try to impact the wins and losses, whether it's player personnel or whatever that might be. And I think many of you last week, were really disappointed in only a 2-point win over Appalachian State. I was personally very concerned with this team after how they started against Alabama, going down 27-0 in the second quarter. The reason why people are disappointed in those two games is because you start to see signs. Yes, Miami beat the Mountaineers last week, but there were signs that things were not going well, or that this kind of result could happen. And I think many of you, obviously, look, if Miami wins out, and they certainly could, if they get things turned around somehow, but there's games left on the schedule. Certainly, like Manny said, yes, they can still win the division and whatnot, but there's a lot of things that need to be corrected for them to even compete for the division. And right now, it is not looking like they're going to just turn things around. Right now, it's looking like a team that is going to struggle in the ACC, similar to the 2019 that finished 6-7, as opposed to last year's team that went 8-3. I think if things don't change, you're going to see a team that continues to struggle. I don't think they can just line up and just automatically play better. There's things that need to be corrected. There's no doubt about that. I understand your frustration. Hopefully you guys are staying somewhat positive, or if not, it's hard to be positive about some of the things that we're seeing here. These are just instant reaction. I definitely am very curious on certain things. If there are areas that this team can improve, if there's some player personnel decisions that can be made, I think in general, many of you are curious about maybe certain playmakers that could get in there, maybe younger guys. So we'll see if that makes a difference. We'll see if they can turn to many places, but when you get beat by 21 points at home, and things don't look good defensively in particular, Michigan State was able to do what they wanted. Very concerned about Peyton Thorne coming into the game. He was able to throw 4 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker, 170 yards, good running back, there's no doubt, but teams are going to continue to attack this defense. I do wonder, and this might just be a situation that they're going to have to deal with, but I wonder if taking Brevin Jordan off this team from a year ago is really making a big difference on the offense, and then defensively, not having a guy like Jalen Phillips on the defensive line is really making a big difference. Maybe a bigger impact that we didn't quite realize would make such a big difference. Certainly Miami does not have those caliber of players, and I think at tight end, you're seeing the biggest difference. You're seeing a big difference between Brevin and Will Mallory, who certainly has to pick up his production. You can argue if he has the right amount of opportunities, if he needs to be targeted more and whatnot, but bottom line is he's got to make more plays. Miami's got to be much better in the red zone. Struggled once again, and we will see how this team reacts. I don't know if this team has the correct perspective on actually what's going on, or the actual need for things to turn around. We'll definitely see how things go. We'll definitely keep you locked in as much as possible on InsideTheU.com. Press conferences still will be at practice, still will cover the team. I know many of you guys, like I said from the beginning, many of you are disappointed. And we'll just see how this thing goes, and see if they can get turned around moving forward. And if not, this can be a disappointing season, and more people are going to question whether Manny Diaz is the right coach at Miami. So appreciate everybody for watching. Thanks for all your support. And like I said, I know you're disappointed, and we'll see how this thing goes.